The Divine Arsonist, A Tale of Awakening. Written and read by Jacob Nordby. Chapter 8. The office is on fire. I stood on the little strip of grass outside the building, watching helplessly as intense heat shattered the bronze-tinted glass on the side windows and flames roared through the ragged openings. Panic-stricken, I whirled, looking in a full circle for anything to stop the blaze. Where were the emergency crews? Out in the parking lot, a small crowd was gathered. I squinted through the hot smoke that blew in my face. Oh, good. My staff was out. They were all pointing and waving their arms at me. I waved back. "It's okay," I tried to yell. "I'll handle this." My voice stuck in my throat, and the sound came out as just a strangled whisper. I turned back toward the burning building and felt a fierce, searing sensation. A blast of superheated air whooshed out as the side exit door collapsed onto the patio. Through the flames, I thought I saw someone struggling inside. I tried to take a step closer, but the heat drove me back. Two figures appeared, and I recognized my partners. They were trying to save the office, running back and forth. They were desperately moving furniture around and stacking up boxes of important files. "Stop!" I screamed. "Get out of there!" Again, the words were painful grunts that barely cleared my lips. Everything was in slow motion. I began to spin in place, a human pinwheel. Some horrible knowledge stabbed into my mind, and I looked down. In one hand I was waving a flaming torch. As I spun, my clothes had caught fire. I tried to fall down, to throw away the burning wood, but I was frozen. My employees dashed over and formed a circle around me. They were staring with a strange mixture of terror and sadness and accusation. Suddenly I knew why. I had burnt down my own building. I was the arsonist. It was so obvious. The fire in my clothes began to scorch my skin. The smell of burning hair reached my nostrils, and in the distance a fire engine screamed. Great grief and guilt ballooned inside, but I couldn't release the sobs imprisoned in my chest. I awoke in my bed, trembling and panting hoarsely. I was sweating and tangled in the sheets, but my body was frozen in place. It took more than 10 seconds to catch my breath, unlock my muscles, and realize that the experience was only a product of my own subconscious, a nightmare. I loosened the bedclothes and sat up, shaky. The alarm clock on the fireplace mantel said 8:12. Morning, Saturday morning. I took a deep breath. The house was quiet. I tested my footing and walked into the bathroom. No Jennifer. I pulled on a pair of gym pants and walked downstairs. It was altogether silent. I looked around. The living room was unusually tidy for a Saturday morning. The kitchen counters were clean and everything was in perfect order. This was not the normal state of affairs for a weekend morning. I spied a sheet of paper taped to the refrigerator. Moving closer, I could see my wife's handwriting. "Jacob, I decided to take the kids out this morning for a while. We'll be gone all day and then probably stay over at my friend's house tonight. I love you, but it's too hard to hang around all day and wait for you to leave. Please be safe and call me if you can. I believe in you, but I'm afraid too. Just do what you need to do and I'll be here when you come home. Love and prayers. Jennifer." Love and prayers. Yes, I need lots of both, I thought. I showered and shaved while a pot of coffee brewed in the kitchen. With a towel around my waist, I peeked outside. It was another perfect fall day. I decided to get to the store early, come back and pack up. Pack what, though? Lucius had given me no details about my journey. I assumed that we'll be at the cabin, but how long? He mentioned meeting some other people. Would I need to bring food? How many days of clean clothes should I bring? Too many questions, and they were not even the ones that concerned me most. I dressed and left the house with a large travel mug of coffee in hand. After visiting the gas station, I drove around and wasted several hours. Around 1:30, I met my friend Thane for a spontaneous late lunch at our favorite Thai restaurant. He was a brilliant web artist and an amateur philosopher. We enjoyed long, abstract discussions and often met Mike to solve the world's problems over cigars. Today it was just the two of us, and our conversation stayed on the surface. I was grateful for this. My last week had been intense, and it was certain that the rest of my journey would be even more rigorous. It was good to chat about normal life, but at the same time I kept finding myself suspended over the table like a silent third party, watching and listening, detached. We took our time over tom kha gai, spicy coconut soup, and I finally glanced at my watch. 3:35. Time to go. In fact, now I'd have to hurry a little. Thane shook my hand as we left. "Enjoy your day, good sir," he said. I smiled. "Thank you. I'll call you when I get back to town and we can catch up." I had told him we were taking a short leave of absence. He was a little surprised, but encouraged me to really rest up. That piece of advice seemed to be the first thing most people said when they heard the public version of my plans. Perhaps my ragged edges were showing more than I realized. We parted, and I broke the speed limit all the way home. All the traffic lights were green, so I arrived in less than 12 minutes. My energy shifted into a state of nervous excitement. At home, I tossed a couple pairs of jeans, some long-sleeved shirts, and sweaters into a duffel bag. Assuming we stayed near the cabin, there were plenty of jackets and gloves in case of colder weather. Down in my home office, I loaded the books Lucius had asked me to bring. As an afterthought, I included the old King James Version Bible that had been a gift from my parents on my 15th birthday. Lucius said to bring material that had been influential in my life. The Bible wasn't something I read often these days, yet there were still large sections of it burned into memory after my church-going childhood. That was a whole lifetime ago, I thought, as I pressed the worn black book into my pack. This copy had accompanied me through my late teen years and then moved from place to place as I married, started work as a young adult, and eventually launched my ambitious dream-turned-quagmire of a company. It was present on my philosophical journey away from the fundamentalist Christianity of my youth. Even now, in my state of religious limbo, it was a disturbing, sturdy block in the framework of my beliefs. I wasn't sure what to do with it exactly, but it contained wisdom and undeniable truths that were difficult to banish. I didn't even want to banish them, but they no longer fit that well in my modern perspective. My palm was flat against its cover. I could feel the book's energy, like a magnetic force field, and my internal resistance and attraction to it. I flipped it open quickly, not sure what I was doing. The worn binding opened at the first chapter of St. John's Gospel. My eyes caught on an underlined passage from the first verse. "He was with God in the beginning. In him there was life, and that life was the light of all people. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overpowered it." Love it or hate it, this was not a book I could ignore. It had influenced my past deeply. Maybe Lucius would have some thoughts on how to deal with it. I closed it and zipped the duffel. Something was still incomplete. What? My nervous system sparked and the internal clock ticked loud. Time to go. What am I missing? I looked down at myself and ran a quick inventory. Clothes. I was still wearing jeans and a long-sleeved t-shirt. "Dress in your best clothes," Lucius said. It was a weird demand, but so was everything else. I raced upstairs and hurried into a dark gray worsted wool suit. Brioni. Ridiculously expensive. I bought it after seeing Pierce Brosnan wear one in a James Bond film. I selected a white shirt with French cuffs and stepped into my shiny black shoes. In the full-length mirror, I grinned at my reflection while I tied a maroon tie. Good thing no one was around to see me heading out for a wilderness weekend dressed for dinner at the White House. The truth was, I loved this suit. It always made me feel powerful and important. It was like bespoke armor for the modern warrior. The clock said 4:13. Downstairs, I grabbed a piece of paper and drew a big heart with a black marker. Inside the heart shape, I wrote, "I love you." It was all I could think to write. 4:15. My keys were on top the duffel bag, by the front door. I looked around quickly. Something still missing. Out of time. Out the door and halfway down the front walk to where I had parked my car, I realized what was nagging me. Emerson's Bible. I just didn't want to look at it all week. In fact, it was hidden in one of my desk drawers. I dropped my bag on the sidewalk and jogged back to the house. It took less than 30 seconds to find the book, lock the front door again, and get behind the wheel, all loaded up. I turned the key and my internal systems fired along with the engine. Everything was in place now. As the car rolled away from the curb, I felt my energy shift. I was moving. The decision had been made and now action confirmed it. It was like untying from the dock and pushing my canoe into a racing river. I felt fear, excitement, and the anticipation of the unknown. It all moved inside me as I accelerated through the subdivision and down the main street that led to the highway. A time would come much later when I would look back at that moment and wonder if I could have driven into the mountains that day had I known everything that lay ahead.